Alright, so in this tutorial, basically, I'm just going to show you how to convert your Photoshop, your mock-up, if you will, from the previous assignment, and to make the Bootstrap version. So if we look, basically what I want you to do is to have the basic document file structure. It's always there. The Bootstrap layout, utilize some Bootstrap components, and then you just have placeholder elements in there currently. Okay. So like I said, every time, just make sure you look through this and so on and so forth. All right. So this, I'm just going to use this as a guide. I did this in one of the classes, and basically I'm just going to use this as my thing and put it into a Dreamweaver site. First thing I need to do is to go ahead and, come on, go over here. On my desktop, I'm just going to make a new folder. So we'll do an, okay, I didn't click any of that. New folder, and I'm just going to call it, I guess it's my interest site. So it would be, I'll just do cone interest site. Okay, open that up. And that is fine. We'll just use that for now. So that's going to be the name of it. And I'll just minimize that. And let's open Dreamweaver up. Okay. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create new. And we're going to do HTML, because that's what we always do. And we're going to go to Bootstrap. Okay. Not just none, but Bootstrap. We're going to create new. We do not want to include the pre-built layout. Basically what it's going to do is it's going to put all these components in there that you don't need. I don't need to customize, but if we did need to, but we're going to be doing 12 columns. Our gutter is going to be 30 pixels. This was considered small, medium, large, and extra large. Oh, they add 4 now. They used to only have 3. Okay, so that's good. Ooh, use extracted, build your page from. Oh, that's nice. Anyway, so, yeah, we're just going to do that. So that looks fine. That looks fine. Actually, before I even do this, what I want to do is go to Window, and we are going to, or sorry, Site. We're going to do a new site first, and I'm going to navigate to that page that or that folder I just made, Cone Interest Site, and we're going to select that folder, and oh, and I'm going to name it Cone Interest Site, Cone Interest Site. Okay, save. All right. So now that's there. Now I'll create the new one. Bootstrap, and turn that off. That's fine. Okay. And then we'll hit create. Doop-a-doop. Okay. Now it's important that you put that in there, because what you're going to notice is this, that I did the manage sites first, because what it's going to do is it's going to auto-generate those Bootstrap files for us, and it's going to put those where we said that our root site was. Okay, so now if I actually open up that folder I had, the Cone Interest Site, you'll see it has a CSS folder. I didn't put that in there, remember? They have the Bootstrap CSS, and then it also has this Bootstrap and jQuery and Popper JavaScript. And I'm just going to go ahead and make another folder in here. New folder, and you probably already know what it is. It's going to be images. So any pictures I'm going to put in there will go in my images folder. And now I have my entire layout. You'll notice that there's no index here because I didn't save this yet. So I'm just going to minimize this again. And if you look, you can see these are absolute URLs, because look at the file path here. It says users, notch cone, desktop, cone interest, CSS, bootstrap. But as soon as I save this in that folder, it will become a relative URL. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to, I guess we'll do it up this way. File, save as. And it should automatically go to that folder because it knows that that's the root. And this is going to be my home page. So I'm just going to do index.html and hit save and watch. Boom. Now it says CSS Bootstrap, blah, 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 which is exactly what we want. So that is all good. All right. Now what we're going to do is inside the body here. See, they put these comments in here for us, but we don't really need them. So I'm just going to put in cone interests. I spelled that wrong. Interest. Whatever. I'm going to just put that. Okay. I'm going to take this comment out. I don't need that. But basically, starting from here, the JavaScript always is at the end, like this. It's the last thing that happens before the end of the body. So leave this alone. That should be at the very end of your site. So we're going to put everything basically between this body and this part here. So this is where everything goes. So the first thing we need to do, we can do this manually, but I'm just going to do it through Bootstrap so that, you know, I'm going to hit this little arrow over here so it pops open my little panels. Bring this over. Come on. All right. I want to go to the insert section. And we've been using HTML, but we're actually going to use Bootstrap, which is it's kind of like HTML, but it's the classes of it. So I'm going to switch this to Bootstrap components. Okay. And right here we have two options, two different flavors. We have container, container fluid. I'm going to do a little bit of both because that way you can kind of see how the two work. Okay. So actually, you know what though? We'll go to, yeah, I'll do both. I'm going to do my heading up here, my header. I'm going to do that as the liquid, and then I'll do the other fluid one, and then I'll do the other one, not that way. So we're going to start off, I'm going to do container fluid. Click on that. Boom. And it's going to checking for boots. That's weird. Okay. It's going to make this div, and it's automatically put this class container fluid and div. Okay. So everything that's going to be inside of my head, I'm going to put inside of there. All right, so I got these here. So now inside of that, if I'm just going to use my illustration here I'm just going to close this up. I'm going to use this illustration here as kind of my guide. So if you look, I do it row by row. So I have one row and it has this one element in it, right? And that just says cones, cones. So I'm just going to do that here. So to add a row, we go over here and you're going to look for grid row with column. Click on that. And the number of columns to add, and in this case it's just going to be one. I only have one element, okay, so I only need one section. So I'm just going to type in 1, and then we'll hit OK, and it's going to do div class row, and then it's going to have this column XL, which stands for extra large. I don't really like that. Let's do SM for small. So div class column blah 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 12, and I'm going to enter, back that up so it matches. Put a gap in there. Okay, so that will be the first section. Okay, so that's the first little part here. And then inside of there, again, if I look at my thing, what's supposed to go in there, it just says cones, cones. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in there. So that should be an H1 because that's my biggest thing. And you can see it's not inside of here, so I could just quickly switch to HTML and just do H1. There it is there, and I'm just going to write cones. Cones. All right. So, and if I put on split, you'll see I have cones, cones, and I don't like the view here, so I'm going to do split, vertical, and let me see, wait, view, split, and live view on left. I like it on the right. Okay, so cones, cones, fantabulous. All right, so that's that. Okay, so it says cones, cones, and then I have my next tab over here. Now, even before I go to this next one, what you're going to notice is this is now going to take the full 12. Okay, and if I switch from live to design, it'll be a little bit more obvious. You can see that it's taking the full, it starts at the left, which is fine, and it takes the full thing here. But actually, I don't want it to start until 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So on the fourth column, that's when I want it to start, and then it has 4, or I guess that's 1, 2, 3, yeah, and then it has 3 after. So I need to offset it 3 because there's 1, 2, 3, and then it starts. And then there's 3 after. I don't have to worry about the 3 after. I just need to do the first 3. So what I need to do also on this div class column 12 is push that over. So I do want it to be 12, but I want it to be over some. So I'm actually going to, if I'm going to offset it, I'm going to take out 3 from that. So I'm going to say 9, and then we're going to do offset. Okay, offset 3. If I click in here, you'll see now it goes over 3, and then it has 9. I can't leave this at 12 because that would be 12 plus 3, but 9 plus 3 equals 12, so that's one column. Okay, and now it says cones, cones, and that's all fine. All right, so there's one row, right? So that goes across. Now I'm going to do my next row, and in the next row, I have basically this nav bar. Okay, so I'm just going to hit enter. Enter. I'm just going to do it twice to make it. All right, these tabs are weird. And I'm going to go back to Bootstrap, and we're going to go ahead and do another grid row with column. And again, there's only one element. If you look at this, it's just this one big piece here. Again, I'm just going to do 1. Never had that happen before. Okay. Alright, that's strange. Let's just manually do it. I'm not sure what's going on there. Okay, so we're going to do div, class, and then it's going to be row. That's fine. And then we're going to do div. And let me see how offset this is. So if you look, this is offset 1. Okay? It's going to move over 1 from the left. So div class equals, all right, and this will be column 10. Okay. Oops, I want to do column SM 10. And then we're also going to do offset 2. Okay. Oh, you know what? This should have been 6 actually. Because if it would be 6, so if it's offset 3 and then 3 here. So anyways, so we're going to do 10 and then offset 2. Okay, and then let me just close that. Let me tab this in a little bit better so these are consistently the same tab spots. There, okay, now it's the same. Okay, so now we got that offset, so I got a row and then my column. And now what I'm going to do is the next section, right? So inside of here, I want to put a navigation element. So, okay, I want to put a navigation element such as I have here, right? So it's these 3 things. So Bootstrap has some pre-built-in ones. So if I go down here, where are you at? Okay, so we have Nav Bar and we have navigation. These ones don't really, we probably want to do Nav Bar. So we can do basic Nav Bar fix the top, fix the bottom, inverted Nav Bar. We'll just do a basic one. So I'm just going to click on this, and it's going to automatically live view switch to, oh, maybe that's why it wasn't working. All right, so let's just basic Nav Bar. I'm going to click on that, and then it auto makes all this gobbledygook, which doesn't mean too much to you. But basically what it does is it creates this for us. Okay, so let's see. So offset 3. Offset 2, and then, okay. So I'm just going to preview this real quick, just to make sure everything's on the, we'll do Chrome. Yes, save. And we should have something here, and you can see yada, yada, yada. So here's this one, and then this guy's not offset by 1, though, which is weird. So let me just double check up here. Oh, see, I didn't put the -2. Offset -2. There we go. So now he's offset. 2, which I think was supposed to be 1. I think I did that wrong. Yeah, sorry, should have been 1. Oops, not that. 1. Okay. So boom, and if I just Control S, and if I go back to this, it should auto update. So you can see it there. So there's my Nav Bar. Obviously, some of this needs to be changed, but I'm just going to block this in first, and then we can deal with changing some of the sub elements here. Okay. So I got that. That looks fine. I'm going to do this real quick. See these little twirlies? If I click on this, it's going to collapse this nav element. And that way it's not so like huge. Okay. So now if you look, I have this row, which is this part, and then I have this row, which is this one. And those are both inside this container fluid. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to enter, and I'm going to go ahead and do a new, okay. I'm going to do another, scroll up the top, another container, but I'm going to do a regular container, all right, this time. And then I'm going to put everything else into the regular one. And we'll enter. I'm just going to take this and make sure this is tabbed in at a normal spec here, and then back that one up. Okay. So now everything else will go inside of here. So again, I'm going to look at this. And if you look, I'm picturing this either being a picture, or in this case, I'm going to say it's a slider, which means like a carousel. It's just going to be a gallery of pictures that fly through. And that's a pre-made thing also that they have inside of Bootstrap, which is pretty sweet. So, let's see, not that. So I'm going to go back to this. Let's see. And if you look, it's 1, 2 offset, and then this thing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this one's 8 long, okay? So offset 2 and 8. So, but again, it's going to be one row. So we're going to go to grid row here. So I'm inside my container. going to go to grid row, and again, it's just 1. And I'm going to hit OK. All right. And it's kind of weird. Now this time it did medium. I don't know where it's getting these choices from. So let's do small. Oops, not MS, SM. Okay. So we're going to do 12. That. And actually, let's tab. Make sure these are all the same. Okay. So that made 12. Now that's not exactly what I want, though. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to say, how many did I say it was? Oh, I forgot. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it's 8. So I'm going to make this 8 instead. 8. And I'm going to offset it by 2. Offset. There we go. Hyphen 2. Alright, so now you can see it's offset by 2. So you can see this is where it would fit. And we're going to put a carousel in it. So I'm going to put in here. And then over here you'll see it says carousel. I'm going to click on that. And it's going to make this big bit of code. Okay. Which is kind of hard to see. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to say Control S or Command S. Oh, so it's got placeholder images. Right now it's just going to go ahead and put these blank pictures in for us, and that's fine. I'm in OK. And then bring this back up, and you can see this is what we got so far. All right. So you see it automatically puts this nice little carousel in there for us, which is pretty sweet. All right. And I'm going to do the same thing kind of like I did before, where I'm going to take the carousel here. I'm just going to collapse it so that it doesn't take up so much space. So we got this next row, and then I'm going to have Photoshop, and you look, I have another row, right? And then this row has 2 sections, which again, they're going to be offset by 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's what we have there. Go back to Dreamweaver, and let me see, this is 1 row, so I'm going to go right after that row. We're going to do another one, grid row with column. This time I'm going to do 2, because there's actually 2 sections, and then I'll hit OK. And it keeps doing medium, so I'm just going to switch this to small, SM. And if you remember, it's supposed to be 4, not 6. So do 4, and then I need to offset. You don't have to offset both of them. If you offset one, it will shove both of them over. So I'm just going to, on the first one, do offset hyphen, and I think it was 2, right? I believe it was 2. Okay. Yeah, 2. Okay. Now, inside of this one, I'm just going to hit Enter. Take this one, hit Enter, Enter, and then basically, if again I look at my thing here, you see I have a like a heading and then some text. Okay, so I'm just going to do a heading and some text. So I'm just going to do regular HTML for that, and we're going to do an H3. And I don't know what I said. Like, what did I put in here? Ice cream cones. So right, ice cream cones will be my heading, and then underneath that I'm going to put a P element, a paragraph, and I'm going to use the snippets and go ahead and I'm going to delete this part here first. So delete, so I just have the P, and I'm going to double click on the lorem ipsum, and now we have this dummy text, which is probably more than what we need, but we'll see. Alright, and so that's this section, and I'm just going to go ahead and, well, we'll do it twice just to make it. Okay, so again, I'm going to need another H3, so I'm just going to click on this here, and I'm just going to write, you know, other cone types. I guess I capitalized it, or other cone types. Okay, and then after the H3 would be a P paragraph. Click on that, delete that out, and double click on my lorem ipsum, and voila. All right. That looks acceptable, and I didn't really do too much more than that. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit Control S to save again, and I'm just gonna bring this up bigger, and you can see this is what we have. And if you compare it to this, it's pretty close. I got cones, you know, this cones. The nav bars here. So I could do some things to make some of this a little bit better, but it's an okay start. So there's some things I want to remove and some things I would want to add. I'm going to stop it here because we have the basic structure down. And then in the next one, I'm just going to clean this up a little bit by removing some of these elements and like straightening some of these other things up the way that I want them.